If not, we will move into today's speaker. I'm very excited that Marganna is joining us today. As many of you all know, Marganna's retirement is imminent, and we have just loved having her as a Rotarian. Marganna's career in education has been long. It started in 1990 when she began teaching at Cairo Elementary School. She taught fifth grade, and then first, second, and third grade. She then moved to Henderson County Schools Central Office as a student assistant coordinator, and within 4 years, she was elevated to the director of student programs. She completed her Rank 1 certificate for elementary principal, director of pupil personnel, instructional supervision level 2, and school superintendent through Western Kentucky University. And in 2005, she accepted the appointment of principal at Chandler Elementary School. In 2008, she was selected as the Assistant Superintendent of Administration for the Henderson County School. And currently, she has served in the capacity as our superintendent for the last 6 years. Her 30-year commitment to Henderson County Schools has reached and influenced many students and staff to the highest level of success, and we appreciate that. Marganna is a strong advocate for children. She served on a variety of community boards. She was a former Corydon City Council person. She also has belonged to the Kentucky Education Association, the Kentucky Association for School Administrators, and the American Association for School Administrators. Ms. Stanley holds a strong belief in friends, family, and integrity, which reflects the foundation of her core value. She's been married to her husband, Rick, for 30 years. Rick owns a successful auto mechanic shop in Corydon, Kentucky. And personally, I had the privilege of working with the school system for 13 years on site-based counsel, and in that, I got to see Marganna perform in unbelievable amounts of programs for our school, and we are just very blessed that she has been a member of our school system, and we owe her a debt of gratitude for all of the sacrifices and all the hard work that she's done to make our school system so successful. So Marganna, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Dawn. That was very generous. And I also want to say thank you to Ed Henson. Your prayer today just warmed my heart. The first line said something like, I'm on a road path and I have no idea how or where I'm going. And through the COVID days, wow, that's how it's really kind of felt. But certainly find the strength with good colleagues and with my faith to keep us trucking, I hope, in the right direction. So thanks for the opportunity today. And I also want to say thank you for the great lunch that Rotary allowed our central office to have a couple weeks ago. You know, it's always great when food just shows up, but on that particular day was a day that we had started at the central office campus to integrate all of our people together. Because, you know, for a while we worked at home, and then for a while we worked, half of us came in on one day and half came on the next day, kind of tiered it. And then we kind of tiered where we all came back together. So it was perfect. Although we could not sit together and eat together, it was nice to, it was so much appreciated. So thank you very much. So I want to share with you just a few things. Dawn asked me to talk about, well, what's going on right now. And then what do I see is going to be going on, kind of next steps. And then I'll end on a little personal note of kind of what my plans are. So what's going on in the Henderson County Schools? Well, as you all are well know, we are in the midst of COVID, but that has not slowed down some of our normal business things that we would do during the summer. So our summer feed program is going on. And my notes here, I just checked with our director of child nutrition yesterday, And we are serving 31,000 meals a day. 31,000 meals a day. Our folks are working diligently. We are putting now what we call family boxes together. And so when the family comes and picks the box up on Thursday or they get delivered on Friday, they have a whole week's worth of food in that box, which includes breakfast, lunch, and some snacks. So that is certainly going on right now. We also, Jefferson Elementary is well underway. If you've not been by South Middle School, drive by there. It really is looking different. The excavation and dirt work is happening to prepare the platform to start to build the school on. And they're looking at making the retention ponds that are needed and clearing out some trees. South Middle School now has a very nice parking lot right next to their building. We're excited about that because that will become their new student drop-off. So that won't have to happen anymore on that on Alvis Street in front of the South Middle School. And our faculty will park in it. So it will get the faculty parking off the road in front of South Middle School. And that project is just about finished. So if you drive, I encourage you to drive by there and check out what's going on with Jefferson behind it and the kind of new look there for South Middle School. We also took on a project this summer to remove carpet in our elementary, middle school. Middle school really didn't have much, but our elementary classrooms, we still had carpet from the 90s in some of our classrooms. And so we've torn all of that out and replaced that with fresh tile, which is really making the schools look sharp and clean, the hallways. We did keep some carpet in the administrative suite areas to kind of tamper down some of the noise. So that is certainly going on. And then we have, of course, you know, our big push has always been technology. We've embraced that our students have to just become extremely proficient and distinguished in using technology to, you know, to become successful when they leave us, when they walk down those last 8 steps at graduation. So we've replaced a lot of smart boards in our classrooms and upgraded those with the new versions that are out there. And we've also done a big replacement for Chromebooks. And we anticipate through the next school year, we don't really know what the school year will look like yet. But we do know and anticipate that there are times that our kids may need those at home. You know, we don't know. So after we collected all the Chromebooks back, our technology department has inventoried those. We've spent quite a bit of money refreshing and replacing some of our Chromebooks. So those are things that are like immediately going on right now that we're working on juggling. And in our transportation department, they spend a lot of time in the summer just going through and taking care of the buses, you know, trying to update them, make sure that all the safety things are in place, and just getting the fleet ready, because we know soon summer's kind of short. And so within 8 to 10 weeks, we're back at it. So a big question for us right now is how will we start in the fall? And we have been working since May to build information to present to our board to start to answer some of those questions. And we started even before we had graduation. And so we have 3 task force. I'm just going to kind of give you an overview. I'm not going to get into the weeds too much, but we created 3 different task force committees, an instructional committee. We have to look at how did COVID in the spring affect the amount of content our students were able to learn, and how and what do we need to do when we start school to try to get everybody caught up, I guess would be a good way to put it. And also in the instructional world, they're looking at delivery. How do we deliver instruction? Can we just go traditional, just like we're used to? Whew, that would be the simplest because we know how to do that part of school really well. Will we do the NTI like we had to finish our school year? That could be a possibility. Will we come up with some hybrid model? And there, within the hybrid model, there are several suggestions there. All of those are possibilities and that we're gathering information about. Then the second committee is logistics. So logistically, if we go traditionally, hey, again, we know how to do that. That's good. If we don't, logistically, what does it look like for our child nutrition folks again? What will it look like for transportation? What will it look like for our school calendar? All that logistic piece. And they're coming up with options to share with the board. And then the third one is personnel. That we will have some different policies and procedures for our personnel. We employ 1,125 people. And so when we all come back together, what are the guidelines we have to follow? And to share, almost all of the recommendations that our committees have put together so far come from the guidance from the Department of Public Health, from the State Department of Technology, best uses of technology, and from the Kentucky Department of Education. So I kind of feel like we've been the folks who have just taken in all this new information and tried to synthesize it and logistically figure out how it could work. And Monday night, we have a board meeting. And at that meeting, we are going to present to the board everything we know and we've learned so far in those three categories: personnel, instructional, and logistics. The board doesn't plan on making any decisions yet at that point. They're just taking the information in as well. So that's been a big piece of really the last 6 weeks of kind of our day to day. And once our school year officially ended, primarily that's truthfully been our focus. The regs change, recommendations change every couple weeks. And so we just try to stay abreast on really what's going on. So next steps, tonight, the board has a special called meeting, and my understanding is they're going to announce the new superintendent. And so that's exciting for us. The board did ask if I would stay throughout our fall semester just to help with the transition, only because of the COVID, only because of, the transition piece is different than a normal year. So my really official retirement date now won't be until December 1. They will name the person and they'll come aboard and work with us July 1, but they'll take the official capacity December 1st of superintendent. And so then what are next steps for me? My husband and I, about 3 years ago, purchased a building in Cordon. It was the old hardware store. It was originally built in 1910, so it's really had many lives to it. But most people refer to it as the old hardware store. Most recent, it was a little pizza place. And we bought it, and I'm really not sure why at that time we bought it. We actually thought we might even tear it down because it is right next to Rick's shop, and he can always use more parking. But then we just kind of decided, we had this idea maybe just about 6 or 8 months ago that we would renovate it. And we've gutted it. We've put new heating and air, new plumbing, new electrical, new bathrooms. And for my retirement project, we're going to reopen it as a coffee shop, a little bake shop. And we'll have a little small gift shop area in there. So I'll be spending quite a bit of time peddling my baked goods, I hope, out of there. We've purchased a few ice cream machines and just really want to have something to do and do something with the community. I hope that it will help bring, Cordon and kind of the area there together, have some fun things on weekends that I can plan, and just kind of serve the community of Cordon, because Cordon's been very good to Rick and I, and especially through his business. So I look forward to that. Now, the opening date won't be fall. It'll be Thanksgiving weekend. But maybe I'll be able to open some Saturdays in August and September to just kind of start to figure it out. So I would welcome any questions, Dawn, if there's time. That's kind of what's going on in the school system and when the new person's coming aboard. And
Well, I think we have time. I had a question just because I'm nosy. The Chromebook return, have you received most of the Chromebooks back from the schools?
we did receive most of them back, but a lot of our Frisky, our family resource people, and our principals, assistant principals, we had to do some home visits. We had to go retrieve some. But yes, predominantly we did. And there wasn't a significant amount that was damaged, that had to be fully replaced. But we have had Chromebooks in our district now for several years. And so there is a certain number that just need to be replaced every year to keep that, I'm going to call it a fleet, almost like a fleet of buses, fresh. So.
Is the Brain Bus operating this summer, or is COVID preventing that?
That's a great question. It is prohibiting it right now, but we hope to get it out after the July 4th weekend. Chrissy Sandifer has taken on that task, and she has kind of been on the bus, and we're going to do a little renovation in there to just spread the chairs out. And then we're going to add some hands-on science, some STEAM and STEM activities also, and not just have Chromebook software on it. So yeah, right now, no, but yes, we anticipate in July she'll be able to get it back out on the road. We're hoping so.
Susan.
Hey, Marganna. I know that 31,000 lunches when y'all were working on your most recent budget was not part of the budget, 31,000 a day. Where does the money come from for that?
Sure. I will say through the whole COVID ordeal, the pandemic, the state has opened up waivers and been flexible, very flexible for us, and so has the federal government. So they have pushed down grants to our local school systems, and we have what they would call CARES Act money and some COVID money and some GEARS money. So those are all acronyms, I know, but they've lifted some restrictions to allow us to be able to provide the masks that we're able to, which helped.
Gotcha.
And then we've had some federal money that we don't have to repay that we've been able to use.
Okay.
And
Well,
some of our general fund, because it's just what's right for our community, for our bus drivers to be able to deliver. A lot of summer feed programs in other counties, they're not delivering because that is an expense that the district does have to pick up, but
okay.
it's small enough it outweighs the good of what.
It's Mark Chumbler. I have a comment and two questions. Comment is, I think we owe you a huge debt of gratitude for really a lifetime of service to kids in this community. And, I have two kids that went through the school system, and your leadership's been really phenomenal. So thank you very much. It's been great. So two quick questions. The first one really just, I know it requires you to just kind of have some suppositions, but you're more of an expert than the rest of us. So, like, have you all heard much from the Department of Education that heading into next year's General Assembly with losses of state funding, like, are you all concerned at this point about SEEK funding, and like kind of what messages are you getting from the Board of Education? And second question before you answer that is, if we were able to make an assumption that kids will get to be in school all year, fingers are crossed, like what with the current CDC guidelines that you all see, like what gives you the most concern about logistically how to do school on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's a big question, Mark. It is. No, that's okay. So the SEEK funding's a little quicker. They from the State Department, we've heard the governor say there's a shortfall, even for this year. As superintendents, as we talk, yes, we talk about that we feel for the 20 in Henderson, we feel for the 2021 school year, we will be okay. We think we're going to feel the shortfall in the 21-22 year. So we are right now making decisions as far as if our budget said we can order this many Chromebooks, we didn't push it up any. We stuck tight to it. So that could be wrong, but no, we're not really getting a lot of chatter from the commissioner about the SEEK funding. The COVID money that we got, we're using it, and we're trying to leave that general fund money alone. So then the other piece about the CDC and the restrictions, you know, right now what the restrictions say is they're pretty tight, to be honest. And that could change in 8 weeks. And I think that's why our school board's not ready to say logistically, what does that look like? So some things that we think we would probably do, regardless how our kids come back to us, is we will certainly look at making sure that we don't put large groups of kids together in our commons areas. In the elementary, a lot of times kids go into the gym in the morning. So we probably would just say you're going to go straight to your classrooms and spread out kind of thing. So there's basic things. We should probably look at making sure that where our kids are dropped off for car rider lines and the bus rider line, they don't merge together to come into the school. We should have separate ways just to lessen the number of contacts. We just keep hearing over and over the 4 things to be mindful of to reduce the spread. Hand washing. So we will have lesson plans and hand washing times built in through the school day. Reducing the amount of respiratory spread that there could be. So that's a sticky situation, and we can do that obviously with a face covering, but we can also do it with social distancing. So what does that look like in a classroom? The other way is just checking the temps and doing the questions. And then we have to make sure we have a very thorough disinfecting and cleaning plan in place. That one we feel very good about, and we've consulted with our CDC how we ended our school year in just cleaning. So yes, it certainly has an impact. I'm always an optimistic person and hopeful within 8 weeks, the guidelines could maybe look a little different than what they do right now.
I know with playgrounds, working with the city, that's something that we struggle trying to figure out an appropriate way to clean playgrounds and to keep them clean. Is that something you all are dealing with as well?
Sure it is. Yeah, it sure is. And because that decision on playgrounds doesn't have to be made right now today, we'll really just kind of pause and see what they tell us then, because you know, sometimes you just hear on the news or that this will work, and other times it's like, well, the sun will bake it, it's okay, and then you need to do this. And so yeah, because we don't have kids on our grounds right now, then we're just letting time be our friend right now.
Right. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a comment. I'd just like to say on behalf of every one of us at Henderson Community College, Marganna, we appreciate you for your leadership and your partnership from dual credit to Early College Academy, just representing us as an alumni yourself. You've been fantastic to work with and a pleasure during my transition to work with. So we only wish you the best. And thank you.
I have a quick question. Ms. Stanley, what role will parents play in the decision making about how the fall semester looks?
Sure. So last week we did send out a survey, and we will send more surveys out. So that will be one venue. We did open up an email that people can send thoughts, ideas too. And we provided a paper pencil outside our office also. Anticipate. Now, I can't really answer for the board, but I anticipate if we're able to do some sort of forum or figure that out, that our board is going to want to hear from parents and from our staff. We haven't really yet solicited a lot of input from our staff because we're still kind of letting time be a little bit of our friend. But we know we need to start having conversations about how are we going to bring our kids and our staff back together. So I hope KT through a variety of ways, and obviously to have parents voice those concerns along with our staff as well.
Marganna, do you think the decision of the board or the administration would be different than perhaps what a majority of parents would prefer?
You know, I don't know yet. And I say that because Monday night's the first time we're really going to roll some major information out to them. And so I've asked the administration folks, I said, hey, you just roll it out and be prepared for questions. Because we've not even really engaged in the conversation yet. So I think after Monday night, when I hear more the perspective from each board member, then we'll collectively maybe know a little bit more. KT, I'm kind of guessing there, to be quite honest. So.
Marganna, are the Board of Education meetings on Zoom, or are they on Facebook Live, or where would people be able to watch? Where would parents be able to watch if they would like to see either the superintendent announcement today or Monday's meeting when you all make your report?
Sure, yeah. They are streamed through YouTube. And if you can go onto our webpage, there's a link. You just click on it and you can go right to it. And I hope a lot of people do go online to watch that so they can see the information that we currently think we've synthesized and share with them, and then see what kind of questions the board has back for us as the administration that we need to get more answers to as we keep moving forward. We don't have, it's not hard to do Facebook Live, so I wouldn't begin to say, we don't have a venue to do that. Obviously, any cell phone can help us do that, yes. We've not done Facebook Live, and they've chosen not to do tonight or Monday night that particular way at this point, so.
Any other questions for Marganna?
One other little question. Are you going to have Ready Fest this summer?
The Friskies have met and they've talked about that. They want Ready Fest. We want Ready Fest. But because you've been in the gyms before, I don't know if that many people would be allowed at this point. So I don't know if it would maybe be more individual schools, or it will be, I don't know, I'm just making up stuff right now, but if it'd be one day a week, these schools come one day, this school comes one day, that I don't know. I know they're watching to see what kind of restrictions might be lifted for us to be able to bring that large of group of people together.
Okay. Rotary has helped us with the Volunteer and Information Center with our Clothing for Confidence program, and that's we distribute those that gift then to the family resource coordinators, and we're just trying to figure out how we're going to be able to do that. So that's why I was asking.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here's a fun little legacy question. With 30 plus years as a high level educator, what are positively or negatively, what are one or two or three of the biggest changes you've seen in education?
A pandemic.
Right,
Maybe
throw that out.
right on my head.
Good one,
Because
yes.
it's right here in front of me. Changes I've seen. Oh, I don't know. I think some of the most memorable Technology's been a tremendous change that at times I feel like we've been behind, and at times I feel like now we're more out in the front of. Technology's totally changed the way that we instruct our students, how we communicate, cell phones, text messaging. All of that has probably significantly changed education for sure, certainly. Because I remember when I was principal, we didn't even have text messaging. I didn't have to deal with that as a principal. So I don't even think all the teachers had handheld cell phones then. And that really hasn't been that many years ago. I'm not that old yet. But so yeah, probably technology's made the biggest impact of change.